you're anything like me, especially the men out there listening to this video, you've probably asked yourself, at least at some point in your life, is masturbating too much bad for me? I'm sure you've researched it at some point, looked into it yourself, and I'm here with my own answer, and I'm gonna make it complicated. I don't know that this is necessarily the answer to end all answers. However, this is the answer that has begun to satisfy me. I've been looking into this since I was probably like 14. I'm 30 now. And this is the piece of wisdom that I think I would have liked to hear all the way back when I first asked this question. I'm going to tell this in a very strange way. So I'm going to start with the origin of where this all comes from. So the origins of this practice, of this answer, date all the way back 5,000 years ago to the Yellow Emperor of China, or one of the great 5 emperors of China. It's also known as Huangdi. If you are interested in ancient cultures and mythology, anything like that, I encourage you to go look up Huangdi or the Yellow Emperor yourself, and you can learn more about the Yellow Emperor. But the Yellow Emperor was told to have a partner who taught him how to transmute sexual energy. And it was important that the Yellow Emperor be able to do this, because if he were to not do this process and was to spill a seed too much, then he would run out of the vital life energy needed to not only rule a country, but to satisfy his partners as well. And so this practice involved dry orgasms. It involved bringing energy up through the body and turning it into vital life essence instead of wasting it, sending it out into the world. At the core of the practice, it was believed that, it was wasteful to use this for anything other than refreshing the self or for creating new life, and that if it wasn't being used for creating new life or for the body, it was wasteful. So now, I also come back to ancient China to tell another story to help illustrate a story. I don't know if it'll help or if not, but I'm going to give it a shot. So there is a river in China known as the Yellow River. This is non-related to the Yellow Emperor, but I'm going to tie these two things in. So there is a flood myth in ancient China, just like we have Noah's Ark. Ancient China has the story of Gun Yu. You can go look that up, the flood of Gun Yu, Gunyu. If you look up this story, you will be graced with a pretty wonderful story, but to tell it in short, China was dealing with floods from the Yellow River constantly, and it was a big problem, and the emperor hired Gungyu's father, or brought him in and told him, hey, I need you to fix these flood problems. And he said, well, roger that. And he ended up building a dike. And then he had a son. His son was Gunyu. The dike failed. His father was exiled. And after his father was exiled, Gunyu ended up going out and studying the land, learning all sorts of things about, nature and the way water flows and the way it just kind of goes throughout the landscape, and ended up spending 5 years dredging various canals and giving places for the river to flow naturally, and used that as a method of avoiding the floodings. And this ended up being successful. He was made like Emperor of China at some point or something along those lines. I tell this story because I believe what many semen retention or no-fap culture, I think that's the counter-argument to masturbation good is masturbation bad. I think what that community tends to do is they make the same mistake as Gunyu's father. They try to build a dike. They try to build a wall. They swear off it. They celibacy. Instead of dredging new channels. So if every time you see a woman out in public and you're aroused by it, you think to yourself, oh wow, she really shouldn't wear something like that out in public, instead of, which that's building the dike, instead of appreciating that aroused energy and the power that aroused energy holds, and taking a second to channel that energy and flow it through the body and appreciate that energy, allow it to vitalize you, and then move into your day. That's doing what Gongyu did. That is using the energy and allowing it to flow and not trying to stop it. The energy's there. It belongs. It's not supposed to stop. You're not meant to contain it behind a dike. You're meant to allow it to flow and nourish the lands. And so in the same way, we have to figure out how to be Gunyu and not try and build the dike, because eventually the dike will fail. And if you're catching on to the imagery and the connection of this story to what it's like to try to resist masturbation, or when you do finally give in to your urges, it can feel a lot like a dike giving way and a flood is coming. So learn to practice, look into, if you're interested, practice bringing the energy up and down and up your spine and back down. And the more the energy travels through here, the easier it'll be, the more automatic it will be. You will find yourself out in public doing that instead of being angry or just being horribly turned on, whatever it might be. I wish you luck. I love you all. Peace.